What's going on YouTube? Listen up, young elder gang. This is Chief Walking Bird at you with another banger. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video, fam. I hope this video get at least 100,000 likes. In this video, you will find history, definition, scripture, information, and best of all, what we Americans have been deprived of from the beginning, the truth. Keep in mind, this content used in this video is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. We will give you the total truth as we best understand it today. Be sure to hit that like button, young elder gang. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Hit that bell, and don't forget to check back with us every day for new content. Thanks for tuning in. Boy, do we have a hot banger and head knocker for you today. This is the reign of Empress Verdiacee with Bobby Hemmitt. In this video, we'll show clips from Empress Verdiacee and Bobby Hemmitt breaking down the whole truth about the motherline being the rightful heir. The Empress causing a stir across 20 states? Well, buckle up. Claiming ancestral roots from the ancient ones who roamed North America long before Europeans, the Washitaw Nation of Muurs. We, as the Washitaw Nation of Muurs, have the right to issue our own driver's licenses, passports, and birth certificates. We, the Washitaw Nation of Muurs, are not a part of the USA Corporation. In ink, we are the original people of Turtle Island, the Washitaw Nation, Washitaw de Dugdahmoundyah. The mound builders are a group of indigenous people to the land, referred to as the Louisiana Purchase, and part of Alabama, Georgia, North and South Carolina, California, and Florida. The name Ouachita comes from the French spelling of the Indian word Washitaw, which means good hunting ground. The French called us the Ouachita people. The Ouachita tribe's real name is Washitaw, as it is a transliteration of their Caddo name in English. The Washitaw tribe may also be known as the Yesito. We are not African Americans, and we only become sovereign when we choose to operate in the maritime system in our proper person. We, the Washitaw Nation of Muurs, descend from the ancient Olmecs. The African Moors did come over and mix with us. In fact, Mansa Musa and his brother Abu Bakar II sailed to Turtle Island, Amexem, the Great Land, in 1310. They were Malian Moors who mixed in with the Washitaw Nation. The land known as the Louisiana Purchase is stolen land from the true rightful people called the Washitaw Nation of Muurs, having many daughter tribes such as the Chata, Yamasees, Shoshone, Shinnecock, Sioux, Crow, Chickasaw, Apache, Creek Blackfoot, Cherokee, Seminoles, and etc. Many $5 Indian tribes using the Dawes Rolls have tried to steal our birthrights. The Dawes Rolls, also known as the Final Rolls, are the fraudulent lists of individuals who were accepted as eligible for tribal membership in the 5 civilized tribes. It does not include those whose applications were stricken, rejected, or judged as doubtful because they were reclassified as slaves, blacks, Negroes, colored, and African Americans. The Louisiana Purchase roughly spanned from around 29 degree north to 49 degree north latitude, and from approximately 89 degree west to 120 degree west longitude, with the northern boundary being established by the 49th parallel near the Canadian border along the Rocky Mountains. However, the exact boundaries varied depending on the specific area within the Purchase territory. Northern boundary around the 49th parallel north, bordering Canada. Southern boundary roughly along the Gulf of Mexico. Western boundary extended to the Rocky Mountains, eastern boundary primarily along the Mississippi River. Merriweather Lewis and William Clark play a part in this whole robbery of our land. They were painted as white, but were really black Moors. They were mercenaries and privateers. A mercenary is a private individual who fights in an armed conflict for personal gain rather than for political interests. Mercenaries are not members of any official military and are outsiders to the conflict. A privateer is a private personal ship that is commissioned by a government or business entity to engage in maritime warfare against an enemy country. They were the co-leaders of the so-called discovery of Washitaw Land, a 2-year expedition to explore the Louisiana Territory and the Pacific Ocean. Among these men were Merriweather Lewis and William Clark, members of a secret expedition tasked with exploring land that the United States had recently stolen. Their trip would turn into an epic 8,000-mile-long trek and the first big step in the United States westward colonizing. The Louisiana Purchase was the 1803 robbery of 828,000 square miles of Washitaw land from France by the United States Corporation for $15 million. Keep in mind, we didn't sell land. Another man who they don't talk about was a man named Ben York. They say he was an enslaved man who accompanied them as a member of William Clark's party, was simply called York. He was Clark's personal servant and played a crucial role in the expedition by hunting, caring for the sick, navigating the land, translating the natives' languages, and interacting with Native Americans. So how did Ben York know the natives' language? They say also Ben York took wives, given to him by chiefs, and made children with them. Ben York was a Moor from West Africa. We got a whole tape coming out on Ben York soon. Now we will cut to a clip from Bobby Hemmitt speaking on the Empress.
This black woman owns the entire United States of America. They know it, and to keep her quiet, they had to give her Monroe, Louisiana. When is she gonna be in town? Anybody know when the Empress is coming? Thanksgiving, right? Yeah, Thanksgiving. This woman owns the entire United States up into Canada. Now the key to this whole city is that got past all your Afrocentric scholars. Why? Because the white man gave them what they wanted them to learn. And so now y'all taking thousands of trips to Africa, and you didn't know that in actuality, this was a black man, the black land from Lemuria.
Who is Empress Verdiacee, Tiari, Washitaw, Turner, Goston, El-Bey? Verdiacee, Hampton, Goston, a.k.a. Verdiacee Turner, a.k.a. Empress Verdiacee, Tiari, Washitaw, Turner, Goston, El-Bey, was the head empress of the Washitaw Nation. The United States Corporation knew about the Empress. So, to keep her quiet, they created her own town or city. The city was named Richwood. Richwood is a town in Ouachita Parish, Louisiana, United States. The town was incorporated December 31st, 1974, under the provision of Louisiana Revised Statute 3352, just for the Empress by the USA Corporation. The town operates under a form of government consisting of an elected mayor and a board of alderpersons, which has 5 elected members. They created this town just to hide the truth, that the whole Louisiana Purchase was Washitaw Land. She was mayor of Richwood, Louisiana, in 1975 and 1976, and again from 1980 to 1984-5, and is the author of the self-published book Return of the Ancient Ones, 993. Goston asserted that the United Nations registers the Washitaw as indigenous people, number 215. She wrote and self-published Return of the Ancient Ones, in which she said, the United Nations registers the Washitaw people as indigenous. Empress of the Washitaw de Dugdahmoundyah reclaimed Louisiana, and parts of southern Arkansas and central Mississippi belonged to her through Airship. We've been here, declared the Empress, explaining that the original Native Americans were mostly of a dark complexion. She said the light-skinned Indians of Hollywood fame were minority tribes in the Northwest that were mixed with the blood of Chinese invaders. They made up less than a third of the total population of Indians on this land. So-called white folks don't owe black people in America 40 acres and a mule. They need to get up off our land or start paying us some rent and taxes, she said. The Washitaw Nation property rights and ownership to all the land that made up the Louisiana Purchase, excluding only what is now the city of New Orleans. We, the Washitaw Nation of Muurs, are exempted from all U.S. laws, including the tax laws, and have our own laws, legal system, and government tribal system.
Now in this next part, we about to break down on what happened when the FBI, the killer clowns, the Shriners, who protect the North Gate, who protects the Federal Reserve entrance of private banks, right, raided the Empress compound, right? Let's get into it.
When Verdiacee, Hemmitt, and Goston moved to Franklin Parish in 1997, the then 70-year-old Empress of the Washitaw Nation said her sole purpose in life was to lead her people to happiness and free them of paying taxes. 3 years later, a small army of state and federal agents descended on the home, 10 miles east of Winsboro, on the banks of the Bayou Macon, thus thrusting the eccentric tribal leader into the national spotlight. On the morning of March 21st, 2000, the self-proclaimed Empress of the Washitaw de Dugdahmoundyah, a group that claimed sovereignty over a 30 million acre empire in Louisiana and neighboring states, was about to eat breakfast when the doorbell rang. On her doorstep were armed agents from the FBI, the IRS, the U.S. Customs Service, and the state police. Acting on search warrants, agents seized a variety of documents in connection with an investigation regarding income tax evasion, mail fraud, and wire fraud. The planned raid was a well-kept secret, as then Franklin Parish Sheriff Steve Pylant wasn't informed of the raid until it was underway. In an interview with the Franklin Sun the following day, an angered Goston said she had no idea what the agents were looking for. They never said what they wanted, she said. They knocked on the door and came in with guns. All the rooms are in shambles. They put dogs all up in the refrigerator looking for drugs and took metal detectors across the yard looking for gold coins. They took my jewelry. Why did they do that? The jewelry didn't do anything wrong. Goston confirmed agents seized a variety of documents available to people who seek citizenship in the Washitaw Nation. Washitaw passports, marriage licenses, driver's licenses, and birth certificates were available for purchase by Washitaw citizens. This was a robbery by USA Corporation of all her stuff, but they never informed the U.S. Marshals or the sheriff. A full membership in the Washitaw Nation cost up to $520 per person at the time of the raid, according to reports. A frustrated Goston said the government of the United States had went too far by ransacking her home. The government is going to have to pay up or get off my land, she told the Franklin Sun. That raid was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I'm fixing to put them off my land. The then 73-year-old Goston, a former mayor of Richwood, claimed vast amounts of land in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas was hers by Airship. My foreparents were here when everyone else came, she said. I am who I say I am. I am an empress.
Now, as you can see, the killer clowns who protect the North Gate and the entrance of the Federal Reserve, raided the Empress compound, stealing all her belongings, stuff of valuable, right? And it's pretty much it's Cointelpro Operations. For you people that's not up to speed, go watch the tapes we put out called The Killer Clowns Exposed. So this pretty much was a raid to rob the Empress of her valuables and belongings. And if you notice, they didn't inform the sheriff, who is the real police, the real law on the land. Keep in mind, the FBI cannot make arrests. They got to bring the sheriff with them to make the arrest. The FBI do not work for the American people. They work for Federal Reserve, for the federal private-owned bankers, the shareholders, private-owned shareholders, the Lords of London, and the Popes of Rome. Now we're about to get ready to cut to an interview where the Empress explained how they robbed her, and it pretty much was to shut her down and to seize her operations, right? To keep her from continuing, to keep her from spreading this information, because she becomes a threat to national security once she start getting everybody to claim their nationality or their birthrights, right? For you people that don't like the word nationality, right? But she began to get people to claim their birthrights, so she becomes a threat to national security. So therefore, the killer clowns raid her. You got to keep in mind what this is all about and how this game goes. Their colonization thrives from the backbone of the Nubians, the indigenous people of Turtle Island, going under a reclassification as black, Negroes, and coloreds and African Americans. They tried to trick us and told us that our land, that we came from over there when we was already here. Let's cut to this interview with the Empress breaking down how they robbed her to hinder the process of us claiming our birthrights back. Also, she's going to explain how them robbing her was to hinder her from being able to go and file charges over at the international courts in Geneva. So listen closely.
Wait. Okay, now, Empress, I'm ready.
We have never had to ask anybody for any funds because I've always had some. So before you get here for the convention, the tents is already up. Everything is already up. The potable toilets are already here and paid for. But when you get here, so whatever funds I go in to do that, when you pay for your registration, I can always put it back. But I already have the money to get the tents and things before you get here. I don't have to wait until you come to put up the tents. And it costs a pretty penny to put up those big circus tents. And to get you 6 portable toilets out here in order to have a place to go. The food and everything be already here because we have a fund. Now we don't have a fund because the government have come here and took all the money. And we don't have a fund to do that. We already have our money to go overseas. Everybody knows that we go overseas the last week in July. We don't have any money to go overseas with now. Then we don't even have any money to file. We got to go overseas twice this year because we got to go overseas once to file a lawsuit. And we probably need to raise funds to get another building separate from here, so we can at least work a while in a place that's not bugged.
Yes, ma'am.
So we got to do our own strategy. And it's time for our people. There's people that could give. Some people can't give but $25. Some people can't give but $10. Some people can't give but $100. But there's some people can give thousands of dollars. We need those kind of gifts right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I'm telling you what they took from one place. I don't even know what they took out the office. I know there were some checks that hadn't been cashed in the office and they got those. But the petty cash in the office, I don't know what it was.
Yes, ma'am.
But I know what they took from me. They took some $40-some thousand from me. They took some $10,000 of my husband's fund that was my emergency fund. The $10,000 was money I was raising for the bank. The $40,000 was money I was raising for the bank. And
For the private bank.
for
Washitaw
our
owned.
bank. Uh-huh.
Yes, ma'am.
And the $10,000 for one brother that he had left here, and $300 for one sister that she had left here. I had already separated that out of my emergency fund and put it in little bags for them, like I hand it to them when they come here. So I don't know what else was taken.
Yes, ma'am.
There was some more money, but I can't give a just count of it, so I won't say what it was. That was the money that I separated for going, that I put aside for going overseas. Because this last time we carried 5 people overseas.
Yes, ma'am.
And how many we had to pay for?
This
We
was
had
to
pay for 2.
This was to the conference, the indigenous people.
Indigenous conference.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've always asked everybody to make way if you want to go to the Indigenous Conference, save your money and go with us.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not a private thing, it's something anybody can go to. And most of the older members know we go every year, and most of them know we invite them to go with us. And that's about all I can say with that. We need money right now.
Empress,
We don't need talk.
Yes, ma'am. You were saying something about the stamp of the Washitaw being taken also.
Oh, the stamps. Oh, not only the stamps. The stamps and the stamp pads are being taken. My jury, I can't raise no money with my jury, and every Washitaw know I got jury.
Yes, ma'am.
My big crystal that I wear, they got that. They got all the cameras out the house. Anything that we may could have pawned, they got it. Paul's eyeglasses, just flags. We had enough license plates, 5 boxes of license plates they got. They got all of Paul's tapes, all the Washitaw tapes that we sell to make money, all the shirts. They got them.
So unless the people step up.
Unless the people step up, we gone.
Yes,
Of course,
ma'am.
now I'm not going to be gone.
No, ma'am.
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but they are trying to disenfranchise us. This is one time we can actually get them, because we'll have a reason to go to other countries to get them.
Yes, ma'am.
If our people step up and make a way for me to send somebody over there to file this suit.
Thank you, Empress. And I know this tape, this interview, will serve a great purpose in
Thank you.
getting everything.
And I'm putting that part of it in your hand.
Well, thank you, Empress.
I'm putting that part in your hand. Nobody else's hand. They got the part of spreading the message to doing this, but you came down here to see what can be done. So I have to put it in the person's hand that came down here, okay? I was waiting on El-Bey, but you came first, so it's now in your hand, because this got to be a quick move.
Yes, ma'am.
The tours that you was talking about will be wonderful.
Thank you. I'll do all.
After years of fighting for what she claimed was the airship of her people, Goston died at her son's home in California at the age of 87, marking an end to a colorful and turbulent life. The Empress Verdiacee passed away in May of 2014, passing the throne to her daughter Wendy Washington, aka Empress Wendy Farica Washitaw. Her Highness Divine, Empress Wendy Farica Washitaw, is the current reigning Empress of the Washitaw de Dugdahmoundyah Empire and leader of the Imperial Washitaw de Dugdahmoundyah Nation. She is the legal heir to the Maison Rouge land grant that was skillfully willed to her great-great-great-grandfather Henry Turner, son of the Marquis de Maison Rouge. The Marquis Joseph de Maison Rouge the child of French nobility, was rescued by the Baron Philip de Bastrop at the beginning of the unrest culmination with the French Revolution. Henry Turner is the child of the Marquis de Maison Rouge by an Emperial washerwoman, Her Highness Saint Cyr El-Bey Mariaya. The discovery of her Egyptian-like coffin is recounted in Return of the Ancient Ones. After the Marquis' death, Henry Turner began recovering the titles to all of the land and rights granted under his father's name, including the Maison Rouge grant, the de Bastrop grant, and the Crozat grant. One of the old empresses, Delphi Kim Washington, Washitaw, 1849-1966, lived during the turbulent years immediately following the legal recovery of part of the land in 1848. She experienced the violent assaults waged upon the Washitaw, Washingtons, and Tunica Turners to steal the land. Empress Delphi Kim is the key to the research conducted by our previous Empress. She inspired and guided our previous Empress, dubbing her Tiari, or the Crowned One. Before her transition, at the modest age of 117, she laid the groundwork for the reclamation of the land. Her Highness Divine, Wendy Farica, Washitaw's grandmother, and previous Empress Verdiacee, Tiari, Washitaw Turner, Tunica, Goston El-Bey, spent more than 30 years researching the leads left by her grandmother. While on her quest for truth and to free her people, she suffered great losses, brutal physical attacks, slanderous character assassination, and continuing threats against her life. Yet she remained undaunted in her quest to rebuild the nation. She was a world-renowned archivist, researcher, and legal mind. She served in various capacities of government locally, nationally, and internationally, as the founder of townships in the city of Richwood, LA, near sacred indigenous grounds. She was instrumental in establishing social and economic agendas to improve the living conditions in underdeveloped communities. Her work took her around the world. Studies in Japan equipped her with the ability to effectuate the financing and installation of citywide sewage system for one of our towns. As a mayor, she was an elected officer and one of the founders of the Conference of Mayors, both nationally and internationally. Our previous Empress authored several programs that were implemented on federal and state levels. She was an invited advisor to the U.S. Congress, the presidents, and a delegate to the OAU, Organization of African Unity meeting. In July and August of 1996, the Empress led a group of emissaries to the summer conferences at the United Nations offices in Geneva, Switzerland. During the 14th session of the United Nations Working Group on Indigenous Populations, the Washitaw de Dugdahmoundyah was recorded as the oldest indigenous people on earth in the final list of all attendees. In 1993, the Washitaw Indigenous Nation of Mound Builders received its United Nations number 21593. To date, the Empress, as one of the living heirs of Henry Turner, has recovered the title to 68,983 acres of land comprising most of the northern part of the said state of Louisiana. Our past Empress endured the effects of an ischemic stroke in June 2001. She made her transition to her spiritual form on April 19, 2014, near Los Angeles, California.